The ethmoid bone is a bit of a mystery as it's in the center of the skull and surrounded by several other bones, but it is important clinically, so let's have a look at it. There are three groups of paranasal sinuses: frontal, ethmoidal and sphenoidal. On this image they're shown superimposed on the skull in blue, and on the right image they're shown on a lateral X-ray of the skull. These three pairs of sinuses are lined by respiratory epithelium and they communicate with the nose via ostia. The mucus within them is drained by cilia. They lighten the skull, they warm and moisten the air, and they resonate the voice. The maxillary, ethmoidal and sphenoidal ones appear at birth and enlarge, whereas the frontal one is absent at birth but appears about the age of 2 years. The ethmoid is rather a strange-looking bone with a lateral body on each side containing the air cells. The two bodies are joined together by the cribriform plate, upon which stands the crista galli pointing superiorly and the perpendicular plate pointing inferiorly and contributing to the nasal septum. The ethmoid bone looks remarkably like a catamaran. In the central image, the two lateral bodies can be seen clearly with the cribriform plate between them. Now let's take a closer look at the bone. The two lateral bodies are not empty spaces, but are filled with little pockets of air cells. They are lined with the respiratory mucosa, pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Each body is classically divided into an anterior, middle and posterior groups, but probably now better considered as just anterior, comprising the previously designated anterior and middle groups, and a posterior group separated by the ground lamella, a lateral attachment of the middle concha or turbinate. There is no contribution to the roofs of the sinuses from the ethmoid itself, but they are covered by the orbital plate of the frontal bone. The medial wall of each sinus is the lateral wall of the nasal cavity. So anterior to the ethmoid bone is the lacrimal bone and posterior is the sphenoid. We will see later that the orbit is in close proximity. When you look into the internal base of the skull, all you see of the ethmoid bone is the cribriform plate and the crista galli. The rest of the ethmoid is covered over by the orbital plate of the frontal bone. So here the dotted line indicates the extent of the ethmoid bone lying below the orbital plate of the frontal bone. Let's now take the left side of the ethmoid and show it in more detail. It is shown with three compartments to the sinuses in the upper left image. The lower images show the medial wall of the left side of the bone, indicated with a blue color, and the lower right image shows the superimposition of the structures on its medial wall, which we can look at in more detail shortly. We said that the two lateral bodies are connected by the cribriform plate, which is shown here with the crista galli superior and the perpendicular plate inferior. The right lateral body has been removed to show these structures more clearly. Now the right lateral body has been added to complete the bone. We need to emphasize that for simplification, the two lateral parts of the ethmoid bone are shown here as boxes instead of the rounded structures that they really are. The cribriform plate is shown joining the two parts with the crista galli extending superiorly from it and the perpendicular plate extending inferiorly to contribute to the nasal septum. This gives the ethmoid bone the appearances of a catamaran, as we said earlier, where the two lateral parts of the bone are the hulls, the cribriform plate is the central deck, and the crista galli the mast and the sails, and the perpendicular plate is the centerboard. More detail is now needed of the medial walls that lie on either side of the perpendicular plate. They are the lateral walls of the nasal cavity and have three conchae or turbinates. The upper two are part of the ethmoid bone and the lower one is a separate bone. We will look only at the drainage sites of the ethmoid bone, although the draining sites of the other sinuses are also shown. The posterior ethmoid air cells drain into the superior meatus, which is covered by the superior concha, and the anterior and middle group drain into the orifice on the bulla ethmoidalis in the middle meatus under the middle concha. There are two clinical conditions that must be mentioned in reference to the ethmoid bone. The first is in relation to the passage of the olfactory nerves passing through the cribriform plate. There are 20 olfactory nerves. Each is surrounded by a sheath of dura that extends partially through the plate. A fracture of the base of the skull may disrupt the cribriform plate, and these dural sheaths are torn. The CSF then leaks into the nasal cavity. This is called CSF rhinorrhea. We will conclude this video by describing a second serious clinical condition. Clinically, there's a very important relationship to the ethmoid, and it is the orbit and the eyeball. A severe infection of the ethmoid sinuses can easily lead to a subperiosteal infection that can break through into the orbit to give swelling and, even worse, loss of sight and the eyeball. So I hope that this video has given you a little bit more insight into the ethmoid bone.